Hello, welcome to The Ordeal. I wanted to continue my analysis of Joe Rogan's comments that he made regarding men's rights and how he claims that men have all the rights. Last week I put up a video, part one, that talked about actual rights that men do not have that women have. And this week I want to talk about some disparities that are not codified rights or codified in law, but it's like this is really getting close to being an infringement of human rights, or it's really close to being like a right of some sort. The most obvious thing we have right here, or not, this isn't actually the most obvious, but this is the most damning thing maybe that isn't a right, is the disparity in prison sentencing. As you see here in the article on the screen, it says that men receive 63% longer sentences on average than women do. So let's take a look at some math here. Got my trusty calculator here. We'll pull that on up. And we'll say a year. So let's take a year, 365. So if a woman goes to prison for 1 year, the man for committing the same crime will go to prison times 1.63 equals 595. That's a big difference. I mean, I didn't have to do the math, but just think about that. If a woman is sentenced for a year and you have to go for 595 days for the same crime, if you're a man, that's unacceptable. You know, I want to protect women. I want them to be treated well, and I want them to have the opportunity to live their lives and be mothers, etc., and all that stuff, right? Raise their children. I want men to have those opportunities too, though. And they can't do that if they're in prison. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't go to prison. If they commit a crime, yeah, you should go to prison, but it should be equal or close to equal. Maybe there are some differences for whatever reason. Let's see what else we can talk about here. We have the divorce. So, divorce in the United States, and I also found an article claiming very similar things in the UK. So, we could maybe make the argument across the Western world in general. I don't know. I don't have all the statistics for the entirety of the Western world. But women initiate 69% of the divorce in the United States. College educated women are more likely to initiate divorce than uneducated women. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with the fact that colleges have gone insane since I was at university. Even when I was in university, well, I didn't actually go to university, I went to art college. They were insane then, and they've gotten even worse. From what I can see, we got safe spaces. You know, keep your hate speech off my campus. If you have an opinion that is considered conservative or nationalistic or runs counter to the prevailing view, like a lot of my opinions run counter to the prevailing view, not allowed on campus. I mean, what the heck is that all about? This insanity. Where if I want to walk onto campus and say, look, I have all these statistics and figures here that say that there is no wage gap. I've done all this research. This is my finding. I've looked hard, long and hard, trying to find the actual wage gap, and I can't find one. I have to leave campus now. I'm worse than Hitler. I'm just the worst human being ever. It doesn't make any sense to me why people want to ignore facts and rely on their feelings. So women are initiating more divorce, and why is that important? Why is this a violation of rights, or why does it come close to violating rights? Who receives the majority of alimony? Men tend to earn more money than women, right? And I just said a whole bunch of stuff about the wage gap, but they earn more money. They get higher paying jobs. They work more hours. So the majority of alimony goes to women. Here in this article right here, we can see that only 3% of men receive alimony payments in the United States. That is a huge discrepancy. That means 97% of women are the recipients of alimony payments, or 90% of alimony is going to women. That's crazy. That's a huge discrepancy. Why is there such a big discrepancy? It's not only because men earn more money. It's really not. It's just because the laws were written to support women in this regard. We talked about this right, but I want to focus on the divorce. Why are women initiating divorce? If you read the articles on the internet, It's all men's fault. Men are evil bastards who don't treat women well, who just abuse their wives and are just horrible and don't take the time to care for anybody but themselves. So women leave. No, that's probably a fraction of the reasons why women are leaving. Women have no reason to stay in a marriage. There's no benefit to them. Once they get their children, a few years later, the children, the man has helped raise the children to a point where they're somewhat self-sufficient. Yeah, I'll see ya. I get your alimony payments. Bye. Have a good life. Don't ever talk to me again. Oh, you want partial custody? Nope, too bad. I'm going to fight you in court. You're a molester. Well, who receives the majority of child support payments? Women, 85%. 85% of child support payments go to women. This is why women are the ones who are more likely to divorce. I'm certain of it. Women want to get married. They want to rush into this commitment, but then they don't want to keep the commitment. It's always that men don't want to commit. Men just want to play around. They just want to play the field. They don't want to settle down. Blah, blah, blah. They got Peter Pan syndrome. All this garbage. No, the fact of the matter is men want to take their time to make sure they've made the right decision. They want to hold back, look at their options, make an assessment, because they're going to keep their commitment. A man is going to go into his commitment and go, hey, look, I made this commitment. I plan on standing by it as long as humanly possible. And I was not a young man when I got married. I've only ever been married once. And for a lot of my adult life, I didn't think I was going to get married. But it's not something you want to enter into lightly. You're talking about, ideally, a lifelong commitment. That's what we go into this situation for. But women don't take it that seriously, apparently. They get in there and they say, well, I got what I wanted from you. I got the kids. They're doing all right, Little Sally, she's going into junior high school, and Timmy, he's on the baseball team in fourth grade or whatever, They're handling their business. See ya. Yeah, I'm sure there are abusive situations where women need to get out of them. There are situations where the man is literally not being a good partner. The articles that I read online, they were so very much against men. They're all this about how men aren't good partners. Men just don't make good partners. Blah blah blah. Men are just they're selfish. Marriage is a male institution. The woman has to take the man's name. Blah blah blah. All that's garbage and stuff. And it's like, well, you know what? That institution served society, served civilization pretty well for thousands of years. It allowed us to advance to the point where we put people on another world, another place orbiting the sun. That's pretty awesome. And now that's all breaking down. And you notice when that started breaking down, we haven't gone back to the moon since the 70s. Not that we necessarily should, but we should be advancing in ways that we're not, I think. And I've seen anthropologists claim that, hey, civilization peaked in the West in the 1960s. When did all this equality garbage happen? In the 1960s. And I'm not against it. I'm not against people being equal, being treated equally under the law. I think that's good. But it caused the breakdown of traditional social structure. And I've seen anthropologists say, hey, you know what? The basis of society, the basis of civilization is the nuclear family. That's not happening anymore. The nuclear family is going by the wayside. So, what else do we got here? Let's take a look. So, when I was doing research for part one, I came across this a lot. Let's take a look here at our Google search. I would look for things such as rights women have that men don't. And I get these articles. 14 ways women still aren't equal to men. What is that? There was actually ones that I was getting that were claiming rights. They were saying, hey, look, here's 10 rights that men have that women don't. Let's take a look. So let's see if we can do that. 10 rights that men have that women don't. Apostrophe T. Nope, I'm not getting it. Oh, 5 legal rights women have that men don't. We already got that one. Oh, 10 worst. No, no. Okay. Well, let's take a look at this here. We have women aren't still aren't equal to men. That's Marie Claire. We have 10 reasons why women flee. Don't know why. Was coming up with. Uh, those other. I'm not getting those same things I was searching for before, but we can take a look at some of this stuff here and see. Women pay more for common household items. No, they don't. No, they don't. They do, but the reason that they pay more is because the female version of these common household items are more expensive to create. If you don't believe me, check out a channel called TLDR, TLDR, Too Long Didn't Read. He goes into this extensively in more than one video. Um, the women's products cost more to produce. That's what it comes down to. We've already talked about the wage gap. It's not true. They make less. They earn less. They're not paid less. It's illegal. It's been illegal since 1964. Yeah, and for black and Hispanics, it's even worse. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so vote for them. Run for office. Women are not underrepresented in government, and that doesn't matter anyway. Men can't make laws that benefit women. Since when is this a thing? Men have been passing laws that benefit women forever. It started with giving women the right to vote, and women are not voting women in. Women are not running for office. Okay, women are the minority in the executive seat, so they're also the minority in mining. They're also the minority in sewage work. They're also the minority in construction. They're the minority in the military. Why is it that we have to give them the cushy, high-paid, air-conditioned office jobs? We that does not matter. That's not. There's no reason to believe that a woman can do a CEO job or perform at a CEO job just as well as a man can. Why is that a belief? Can they perform as well in the military as men can? We should probably do some research and figure out if any of this is actually true. I don't think that women can perform as well in the military as men can on average. I don't think that women can perform as well in the executive office as men can on average. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's do some research, get these statistics out there, and we'll know. But as far as I'm concerned, women don't deserve a special seat at the table just because they have different reproductive organs than a man. Okay, again, I don't know why this is happening. Maybe there's sexism, but why would women have an advantage at the news media? Like, this is another high-paid, cushy job, like sitting in front of a camera talking. I used to work in a news studio. It's air conditioned. It's nice. They sit at desks. All they have to do is look good and present themselves clearly. They're the minority in the booming tech sector. Women aren't interested in tech. James Damore got fired because of claiming that women aren't interested in tech. Women just are not as interested in tech as men are. And we see this from day one on babies. We've done tests where we have a mechanical object. You hold it in front of a baby's face. The boy baby will focus on it longer than he will focus on the face that is held in front of him. And it's vice versa for the girl baby. Okay, women still shoulder more of the household burden. Okay, this is something that couples need to work out themselves. You can't force couples to negotiate their relationships. They have to come to those consensus themselves or end the relationship. Women are far more likely to be the victims of human trafficking. Okay, that's unfortunate. That's a terrible thing. Human trafficking is just horrendous, and I don't use that word very often. Um, yeah, people who do that sort of thing are the worst type of people, and it's unfortunate that there is a focus on one group rather than the other, but they're doing it for money. They're doing it for financial gain, and they can sell women more than they can sell men. Right? This is not something that we don't have laws against. It is highly, highly illegal to sell a human being in the United States. That is 100% illegal. So it's not like, I mean, yeah, they're not equal, but this is something they're talking about. They're not equal, and this is something that's illegal. Female soldiers. Oh, female soldiers face rape and harassment. Men never get harassed. Men never get harassed, right? Men never get raped. In fact, it's my understanding. I don't have. Maybe I'll have statistics pulled up on the screen for this when I do the compositing. Men actually get raped more than women in the United States if you consider incarceration sexual assault. Okay, female soldiers face rape, and females should not be soldiers. They shouldn't be fighting. Not because they can't fight, but because the requirements for fighting are strength and stamina. And women have less strength and stamina than men do. This is just a biological fact. Men are stronger than women. Men have more stamina than women. And yes, we have a mechanized army now, but there's still strength and stamina required to do, especially the field type combat. Women overall are at a greater risk of rape and domestic. We just talked about this. No, 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 no. 70% okay, yes, worldwide. You're talking worldwide, 70% of women. Yes, worldwide things are much worse for women than they are. I'm talking about the United States. If you want to go on a campaign to change things in foreign countries, great, do it. Things need to change for women in other countries. They don't need to change for women here other than to make men more equal to them. Women and men are about equal in the United States for domestic violence, and I just stated that rape happens more to men if you include incarceration rapes. Young women experience inequality in high school sports. Yeah, okay, whatever. I have no idea what they're talking about. When I went to high school, there were girls' teams for everything except wrestling and football. But they had cheering and they had gymnastics, and they didn't have that. They didn't have that for men at my high school. So yeah, don't know what you're talking about. Retired women are twice as likely as retired men to live in poverty. Well, don't divorce your husbands. Stop divorcing your husbands. It's been said to me, and I believe it. I think there's certainly some truth in this if it's not 100% factual. Women live for their children, men live for their spouse. And having been married for a few years now, I'm like, yeah, I mean, she is an amazing person. My life is so much different because of her. And I understand that, and I agreed with it when I heard it when I was in my early 20s anyway, but yeah, I can see where that saying comes from, that women are like, they want to have children, they want to raise children, they want to be mothers. That's just generally speaking what women want. Not all women, but that's their biological imperative. That is what they evolved to do. Men, on the other hand, evolved to care for women, to be gentle and loving of women. And you might think that's BS, that there's so many men out there that hurt women. Those are the outlier sociopath types. I want nothing more than to, treat women with respect and gentleness and kindness when I'm interacting with them. And I want to do that not because of anything other than I want that reciprocated back to me by them. Honestly, that's really the reason why I want women to treat me the same way and to stand beside me as I move forward through life, to have that partnership, to have that kindness, that intimacy, etc. All the benefits that come from being in that type of a relationship. Is it perfect? No, of course not. We're humans. Nothing is perfect. But it's still a lot better than being single all the time. Women of all ages are in fact more likely than men to live below the poverty line. Okay, I that they're probably talking worldwide again, worldwide. Yeah, I don't think that's the case in the United States. I think women, yeah, I think young women in their 20s are earning more than men are now. See if I have a statistic on the screen when I mention that. That's it, the 14 ways. So, yeah, this is ridiculous stuff. It's non-factual. A lot of people are seeing through this stuff when you look at comments. They just see this is like BS. If there's comments on this article, I don't know. When we're looking at these other articles, people are seeing right through it. They see that this whole men are bad, women are good. as garbage. And yeah, I agree. People in general can be good and bad. People are complicated. It's not one gender or the other. Yes, men tend to be more aggressive and more violent. That's not always bad, but yeah, that does tend to lead to the bad things in civilization. But women being smaller and weaker tend to stab people in the back more, tend to be more manipulative, more dishonest. And that's their way of dirty infighting, right? Men was walk up to you and punch you in the face. And I know this from it's opening my eyes and looking around, but also I'm small. I'm built like more like a woman than I am like a man. And so I see how men have treated me and how men interact. I can't negotiate that hostility when there's hostility in those types of relationships. I can't negotiate that. So, um, because I'm not big and strong and imposing, and I can stand up to the other men around me in that regard. And it's even been pointed out to me that that's the case by other men. Like, you need to shut up and sit down because you're smaller than me. You need to learn your place because you're smaller than me. Uh, and yeah, that's not. And women have that same problem. Women tend to be smaller. So what do? They subversively try to undermine people and men in general. So anyway, I hope this was enlightening for you. I want to do more videos like this. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Please subscribe and share this video.